First of all, I want to welcome you to our Next Level Projects, 33 Contemporary Gallery. We are pretty excited to have here the show, a solo show with Sally Ko. This is a show that we started talking about it probably last year, right? And now it's really nice to see it in the flesh and see it here. One of the main features of the exhibition is the installation that's in the middle of the space, as this is one of the things that Sally has been working on for quite some time, emerging from a flat two-dimensional surface into a three-dimensional space, and now working here within the gallery, which is kind of a rectangular space. She really wanted to explore the floor and really give it a new life to the pieces that she's got. So we're going to do a little bit of a nice conversation between Sally and I, and hopefully that will also bring some light into the work that are here from the exhibit. So Sally, first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as an artist? How did you arrive to this process that you do? Maybe tell us a bit about the process.
For me, it's all about the process.
Yeah.
It's all about making the work in the studio, my sacred place where things become something. The process is making the paint, moving the paint, manipulating the paint, the repetition of making the paint, moving the paint, making these paintings, and how it all changes. The subtle changes and how it evolves is what's interesting to me.
It's like, so when you walk into your studio, do you have a set of colors that you say, today I'm going to be working with this set of colors, or is it a more intuitive? How do you plan a work? For example, the one that here is just a black piece versus one that might be very colorful.
Right.
Is that something that you think about way ahead of time, or it is part of the moment of being in the studio and being in the work, in the process?
I don't really plan anything. It's more an emotional decision. I work with powder pigments and different mediums, and I make my paints, and I make different tubs of different paints, and I start with one color, one pigment, and I just kind of go with that and see how that evolves. I have different thoughts and memories and things that I'm thinking about while I'm making the paints. And then I have canvases that I lay flat on the table, and I pour the paint and move it around and dry it and manipulate it, and I pour the paint side by side, and it's just kind of a flow.
Evolves from there.
It just kind of, yeah. And then the content of the artwork always comes later, and I start just unconsciously painting.
So since you're working flat, I assume there's no top, bottom, left, or right as you manipulate the work.
Right.
So
I work around my work. So yeah, when the canvas is covered and finished and dried, then I put it up and I look at it and I turn it in different ways and see how it speaks to me, and I feel a connection is where the way it paints. But and that's why I love the abstract work, because everyone gets to have their own experience, and so people are invited to turn the painting around and see how they connect to it, because everyone has such a different perspective and different thought in their mind. So I want everyone to have their own experience.
Right. Kind of experience
Very
of painting and their
personal,
own. Yeah. Really cool. Now, something I love about your work too is that not 100% of the surface is painted. There's a lot of sections where we still see the raw canvas. There's the canvas. So the canvas itself is colored, and then the pouring that you do over it, but you consciously leave a lot of almost untouched.
Because I like the contrast. Really nice. I want you to really be able to see the paint and the thickness and the texture of the paint, and so I like to leave that.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that, like you said, everyone that comes to the show and stands in front of one of these paintings will have their own idea or interpretation of this one. In my personal opinion, to me they're almost like surface. They're about surface and about
like a skin
protection, the skin. Yeah, exactly. That is almost like always growing, even though they are static pieces, but they have this appearance like this energy. It just keeps going and almost kind of sometimes goes around the painting as well, not just ends here. But and since your pieces are not really framed, they don't need a frame because the surface almost like continues to grow and evolve. Yeah. Now, when was the time that for you had the idea of now let's go three-dimensional, and then you started to doing those vessels? How did that happen?
Well, I was always very interested in sculpture in three-dimensional form. I'm a very tactile person. I like to touch and I like to really work with my hands. And so even in the paintings, I really try to make them thick and highly textured. And I guess it was kind of the next step because since my work is very highly textured, like a lot of artists, a lot of painters, they're able to cover up their canvases with gesso if they don't like it.
Yeah.
But I am not able to do that because it's so textured. So what I do is I pull it off and I cut it apart and I try to transform it into something else.
Right.
So it's like kind of a lifting and transforming of something that did not work out, that did not satisfy me that way. Okay. And so then I cut out pieces and I apply them to a three-dimensional form that I've shaped, kind of into a shape that interests me, kind of a concave, kind of vessel-like shape.
So not only the paintings kind of grow sideways, but now they're also almost growing into a three-dimensional space. And
kind of a skin lifting off.
Exactly, and they're floating. And there's also the other element of gravity, which kind of pulls the pieces down, and you have like this, like the medium, the skin, like almost like melting down and going back to the earth.
Yes.
Now, do you envision those pieces as individual works or kind of as a collective of a community of pieces?
Well, I think it depends on where you are in the space. I'm very interested in the structure, the sculpture, the form in the space. And so from where I am, I see it as a collaborative piece, a community of different forms, vessels hanging, and how they interact with each other, and how the viewer from far away can see it as a grouping, but when you walk up to it, it has a kind of a personal, more intimate feeling. And when you get really, really close, you can see the darkness and the details. So I'm interested in that. I'm interested in space.
Right.
And the interaction of the viewer and the space and the community and the individual pieces as well.
Right. Which is really nice because then now the work inhabits our space and we walk. It's almost like walking inside the painting or within the painting with this like floating parts of one of these organic forms, and now we almost like walk into the work into the work as this happens. Where do you see your work going in the future?
It's hard to say because I don't really have a plan. I love the three-dimensional form. I would like to do more three-dimensional forms. I'd like to take the forms and install them differently, move them around, maybe do something sculptural, try to figure out a way to make the forms better in the environment, so I can maybe install something outside. And so I want to experiment with that. But I don't know, it's never ending. There's so many different, and it's just a repetition. I just feel like when I'm just constantly just working and not thinking about it, it evolves and it changes. It's like art and science is very similar, where it's like you're just continuously doing these experiments over and over and over, and then subtly they just kind of change and new things appear, that's what's so interesting to me.
Which I think your process has some sort of almost like a scientific way in which you approach it, because it's all about the process.
It's about the process and the making of the painting and how it reacts and
right.
the chemicals react and how it just evolves.
Like a mad scientist.
Yes.
but the work is amazing, Sally.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for putting this amazing exhibition at our gallery. It's a beautiful exhibition. Tell me a little bit also about the, which is another part of the show, is the whole wall that we have, works on paper.
The works on
which
paper.
almost have a different sensibility. They seem very
The
fragile,
dancing
very
page,
subtle.
Very
Tell us a
subtle.
little bit about
They're
those.
just little bits, because with these big, I like large canvases,
Yeah.
so their cores all just becomes one big image, but on the works of paper, it's just one or two pores, drops, movements. So they're very, very simple and delicate, and they also have their own little stories and their own posture and feeling. So
Right.
I really wanted to emphasize just on those little pores, because the pores are what's so interesting to me, and how it works.
And then you have one piece that's a vertical piece that's kind of different from all the other ones, but it also has almost like this calligraphic feel to it. What can you tell us about that one?
I don't know, it just happened. I used a different kind of paper and there was a different kind of movement, and it's just, surrendering to the paint and having this kind of almost like battle or like interaction with it, and, trying to solve something on the way. It looks very like landscape or mountainous
Right,
to
yes.
me, a little bit exotic.
It reminds me of like Japanese printmaking scenery. Yeah.
And it's how it's blown.
Right. But it also, what I love about that piece, and kind of that's why we also included it in the show, it's almost like if we took a sample of various pieces and deconstructed your process and we put it in, kind of like behind the scenes of how the work is made.
Exactly.
I think that kind of worked really nice.
It's a great sample.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to also open it for questions. If anybody has a question that you would really like to ask Sally, this is now, you can do it. Question over there? Yeah.
My favorite piece so far in here, oh, that's so hard to say, because I love them all. I don't know. I love the monochromatics, because I find it very challenging to just use one pigment, one color, and to make it communicate and be strong. So I like the monochromatic paintings. I like the black one. I like the gray one. I like the white ones. The white one is so pure and so fresh. So I like those.
Great. Any other questions? Well, if that, let's give Sally a nice round of applause. Thank you so much.